Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with week 49 of my weekly album playlist. Now, one of the albums I've been playing a lot, but I've had to stream it, but it has influenced what I'm going to show you first, is Beth Hart's tribute to Led Zeppelin. I've ordered the CD. Okay, the final album was about £30 and the CD is about 10 quid, so I just thought it's a no-brainer. I'd rather have that. But it's one of those frustrating things where I ordered it, said it was in stock, and now apparently it's not going to arrive till after Christmas. So I am having to stream it to listen to it. But it made me really go back to the source. And, of course, that is Physical Graffiti for the track that I'm playing. So although I'm showing you Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin, I'm actually honing in on one particular song, and that song is Kashmir. I think it's made me realise how iconic that song is. And looking back through the lens of time, what it was like to experience that in 1975 when I was 16 years of age and about to finish my exams, not being allowed to go and see him at Earl's Court because of my exams, being too young. I'd never been to London. But the power of that song, I mean, I've played it obviously over the decades and it's always resonated with me, but I can remember, this is like a time machine. And I can go back to literally July when I was doing my exams and hearing Kashmir. I can feel the warmth of the summer sun on my skin, walking around the school after doing an exam and singing the tune, or trying to, of Kashmir in my head. The majesty of it, you know, John Bonham's drums and the orchestral symphonic approach to the music by Jimmy Page. My wife Sue's actually doing an arrangement of Kashmir for her string quartet. It just lends itself, the lines, the melody lines of all the different components of Kashmir are just born to be orchestrated. It's just an amazing, it's beyond saying it's a great riff. Everything about it, and of course, Robert Plant's vocals are just majestic. And there it is, when you look at it now, tucked away at the end of side 2. I mean, would it still be there if this had been released in 2023, or would it open the album? Would it have been a better opener than Custard Pie? I mean, there's so much in here. This is like a menu. This is like a menu at the best menu you've ever seen at a restaurant, which and there's so many starters and main courses and desserts that look yummy that you just want to eat them all. And Physical Graffiti is like that. Whichever side you look at, it's got something that demands your attention, and it's never stopped giving. It's never stopped giving to me. I know some people that never liked it back in the day, but it's just, to me, it's just perfect. In some ways, it's imperfectness of how some of the things are kind of sequenced, but there's just so much to explore. Whatever kind of mood you're in, there's an aspect of Physical Graffiti that meets those needs. But this is about the track Kashmir, the build-up to the climax of it, how it still makes me feel that guttural, wrenching vocal without any words as such, just Robert Plant using his voice as an additional instrument in amongst the rock orchestration of what is one of Led Zeppelin's finest moments. But it's beyond Led Zeppelin, isn't it? It's one of rock's defining moments, a riff that is so identifiable, so simple. I'm sure that Deep Purple were looking over the fence in the mid-80s and thinking, do you think anyone will notice if we kind of, as we're almost perfect strangers at the moment, perhaps tap into the spirit of Kashmir? And many other people have probably done that over the years as well. But this is the sauce, literally, the tomato and onion basic sauce of rock legendary stuff. So this is what I'm playing, but it is primarily Kashmir. And hearing Beth Hart's version, which is well worth a listen, by the way, has really brought home to me just how amazing it is that even now. And the other thing I just wanted to say before I move on, because I will, is can you imagine back in 75, before this album was released, and gosh, I remember being under the bedclothes listening to Heavy Pressure, one of the Birmingham rock channels, and I should have been revising or having an early night for my exams, and listening to a little transistor radio with a speaker about 1.5 inches wide, listening to 2 songs that were going to be premiered from Led Zeppelin's new album. And they were saying back then it's a cross between Led Zepp 2 and Led Zepp 4. Certainly was, with the kind of rock tracks on it. Anyway, what I was trying to say was there was a time when Led Zeppelin were in the control room listening to the playback probably to the first time, and they were the only people on planet Earth who at that point had heard Kashmir. Can you imagine them looking at each other and thinking, I think this one's going to be a keeper. I think people are going to really like this one. Oh boy, were they right. So that is Physical Graffiti and Kashmir is on my playlist this week. That's my trusty vinyl version from what literally I had for my birthday in 1975, so it's an original copy. I actually also like the most recent 2-disc remaster as well. I know not everybody does, but I really, really like it, and that's the one I play the most. I think the Rover sounds the best it's ever sounded on that, and Kashmir. So that is my first choice. Second in is a CD, and it's Bob Seger back in 72. Bob, if you're listening, I'm always optimistic in my videos, thinking that maybe the people I'm talking about might stumble across it, or their management might, or their PR companies, or whoever, or their grandkids. Please, Bob, let's have a box set. Let's have these early albums by yourself. I know you might not look back and think, who cares? People do. There's some wonderful stuff. I mean, this is from Argentina. That's how far I had to go, not physically. But the tracks on here, this is where Rosalie comes from, which covered by, Thin Lizzy and Live and Dangerous and the Fighting album. Midnight Rider by the Allman Brothers. There's some covers on here. The Steeler by Free. Bob Seger turned the page back in 72. I've been working. Heavy Music Part 2. Absolutely. I love Bob Seger, and I love early Bob Seger, and this is in heavy rotation. I've had it a while, but it's like one of those things, isn't it? You suddenly discover something and think, you've taken it out your cupboard or off your shelf, and you think, I'm not going to put that back yet. I'm enjoying this too much. So I'm playing that. Jazz album of the week is Herbie Hancock and Mawadishi. Now, I love Herbie Hancock. There's some really challenging music, but it's very, very rewarding. This one, which is from 1971 on Warner Brothers, is one of 3 albums that Herbie did for Warner Brothers, and this was one of the first Herbie Hancock albums I ever bought. And the reason? The reason is it contains one of the lesser known and quite obscure sessions by Ronnie Montrose, who's actually just called Ron Montrose on this. He's not soloing, he's kind of just playing some funky kind of clippy percussive guitar in the background. He was on Warner's. But that's what that was what drew me in to give it a go, and it sent me down the rabbit hole of jazz fusion, but more jazz than fusion, if you know what I mean. Some great tracks on here, and they're long. Wandering Spirit song, 21 minutes 30 seconds. The Gesterato Suite for Angelo is 13 minutes, just 3 tracks. But that's my jazz album of the week, this is the Warner Brothers Masters. I think these are available in a little box set, which is quite pricey now. But it features Ronnie Montrose on that. I've also been diversifying into different things and playing one of my wife's albums, which is Siouxsie and the Banshees and Tinderbox. Now, what inspired this was, if you can see this, everybody, is the fact that, I'll just see if I'm in shot, the cover art is almost exactly the same. Stormbringer by Deep Purple and Tinderbox by Siouxsie and the Banshees. They use the same photograph without knowing each other. And I mentioned this before on my when I mentioned Stormbringer, and last week as well. But it has sent me listening to Tinderbox, which obviously includes Siouxsie classics such as Candyman, Cities in Dust, which is a great track. And this is I think Cities in Dust is an extended version, nearly 7 minutes long on this particular version as well. It's nearly Christmas at the time of doing this, so my Christmas album of the week has been A Winter Garden by Loreena McKennitt. Now, Loreena McKennitt, she's from Canada, does lots of Celtic, almost mystical music. And if you like Page Plant from when they did their unplugged period of their relationship to each other, this features some of the same kind of Turkish musicians and Celtic musicians from that album, and actually there's a real Page Plant vibe on this, especially on God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen and Good King Wenceslas as well. It's a very short EP really, but this gets played a lot at Now Spinning Towers when it comes around to the festive season. It's absolutely fantastic. I love Loreena McKennitt's music and have many of her albums. What's next? What's next is Hager, Sean, Harrison and Sharif. Sorry if I pronounce those wrong, because I know this is HSAS. This is just stunning. I've got it on CD, but we need a new version of this. There must have been other tracks, but this is an absolutely stunning album. This is a time when on live albums in America, there was something about they felt they didn't sell very well, whereas in the UK, if it's a live album, it always sold well. And so in the US, to try and make sure it sold well, they took the crowd off it. So it was live, but without the crowd sound noise on it, which is a bit peculiar. But it's just amazing. Top of the Rock, the riff, Hager's voice. I'm a massive Sammy Hager fan. He can do no wrong in my eyes. I've got every single album he's ever made with any band he's been with and all his solo stuff. And this to me is one of his finest moments. And it also contains one of Neil Schon's best ever guitar solos that reaches into your soul, literally caresses your heart and pulls it out. And that track is Missing You. My God. Neil Schon has that reverb turned up to 11. He has that slight delay where you can hear as he goes on to the next note, the note that's previous to that is still decaying in the background. It's a great guitar sound. He does that on this, and he just reaches for the heavens. And this is why guitars or the instrumentation in rock is so important. The voice says "Missing You," and the instrumentation interprets the feeling of the human condition without using the words to take you onto a different level. And that's exactly what happens here. Animation, Valley of the Kings, Geezer. It's just the production. It's just production. I haven't played this for ages. And it was on, when I was on the Sea of Tranquility show, we were talking about guitarists, we mentioned Neil Schon, and it sent me back to play this. And again, it's been on and off my turntable or in my CD drive a hell of a lot. Hot and Dirty is an obvious kind of rock song, but Whiter Shade of Pale is one of the best versions ever. He Will Understand in My Hometown. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. Right. Next is more obscure, and it is Virginia Woolf. Now, Virginia Woolf, this came out in 1986, I believe. So, well before grunge. But it didn't sell. I mean, I have to say, this is one of my favourite AOR melodic rock albums of all time. And the guy, the vocalist, bear with me, Chris Ousley on vocals. Chris, I have one of his solo albums, and I know he's been in other things, Company of Stakes and stuff. He has the voice of a god. One of the best rock voices of all time. Why he didn't break through and end up with some of the biggest bands on the planet, I have no idea. I have no idea what happened. This album was produced by Roger Taylor from Queen. So it had all the connections. I think it was recorded in Musicland in Munich. So what went wrong? Well, I think one of the things that went wrong is the cover. I mean, this is 1986. Rock music is everywhere. And that, for a debut album by a band, is the best they could have come up with. Understated, looking a bit like I don't know. And then on the back of the cover is a tiny picture of the band. There's no inner sleeve, as far as I remember, is there? Because I've been playing mainly the seat. No, there isn't. Atlantic Records, they must have thought, this is it, it's going to work. In fact, who else was in this? Jason Bonham, the Led Zeppelin connection, he's on drums. I mean, Jason Bonham, Roger Taylor from Queen. Why? The songs, I mean, Living on a Knife Edge on this album, stream it, it'll be there. Listen to Living on a Knife Edge by Virginia Woolf. This is a Rock Candy remaster, also available. Listen to that track. It's just unbelievable. The production, everything about it, it's just one of the best things you've heard. And Waiting for Your Love, which is the last track on side 1 in Old Money, has got these female backing vocals on, and it's just joyous. It's just absolutely amazing. There's no extra tracks on here, is there, on the CD? No. But that's my undiscovered gem of the week, I think, Virginia Woolf. I've had the vinyl album. I picked it up for about £1 from Reckless Records in London when I was living there. Took a chance and I became an absolute firm favourite. But they just never broke through. Thanks to Rock Candy, you can still get it on CD. But it's absolutely superb. So that is Virginia Woolf, another album that I am absolutely enjoying. Now, the other things around me are box sets, which I haven't had a chance to fully explore because they've recently arrived. So I'm just sharing with you things that I'm excited about. One of them is Heart, Strange Euphoria, which is a little box set that came out a while ago, but I managed to track down a copy on eBay. So I'll do a separate review on that if you'd like to see it. But I love Heart, and there's some wonderful stuff on here. A great booklet in it. Fantastic stuff. Some of you I know have already got this, but it's only just arrived here at Now Spinning Towers, and that is Nektar. This is the box set for Remember the Future. So I haven't had a chance to play it all, so I can't really comment, but this is one of my favourite albums by Nektar. I did have this already on a 2 CD version, but this is superb. And Mick Ralph's reviewing this. This is 4 of his albums. Really hard to find, but thanks to those wonderful people at Cherry Red, it can now be found. And finally, people have been asking me to cover the Rory Gallagher deluxe sets, so I've managed to find one. I bought this off eBay and I got for a really good price, and I'm still diving through it. This is the CD version of the first Rory album, which I'm really, really enjoying. So that's my playlist for this week. So let me know in the comments, as you always do, what you're playing, what have you found, what have you discovered, what do you think? And please subscribe, ring that little bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Become a patron, become a YouTube member, help support me, make more videos, and you'll get to see them all before they go out to the general public, and lots of other stuff as well. So remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Please take care, and I shall see you very, very soon.